Now for our feature story of the day. Resurfaced clip shows Trump's VP pick slamming Gensler's approach to crypto. Wait till I show you this. We'll also be discussing Samson Mao's $1 million price reiteration, which he just recently shared. So yeah, I'm going to break this down for you, as you can see in the headline. And I'm just going to get right into the tweet, right? Just word for word here. So here we have it. Senator JD Vance confronted SEC Chairman Gary Gensler today, sounding the alarm over weaponized investigations against political opponents, notably those associated with President Trump. And shout out to KJAM for sharing the resource with me on X, which, got this on my attention, and I wanted to share it. So yeah, in a pointed exchange, here's what Vance underscored, and much respect to Vance here. You were Clinton's finance director in 2016. And again, all this is directed towards the current chairman of the SEC, No Claire Gare, aka Gary Gensler. You hired anti-Trump enforcement director Grewal in July of 2021. You brought in Miss Barbero, who was the litigator on 2 House impeachment trials against Donald Trump. Another enforcement counsel was married to Peter Strzok. In November of 2021, Senator Warren urged you to investigate the SPAC merger involving Donald Trump's Truth Social campaign or company. And in December of 2021, you launched an investigation using a novel legal theory against the former president's social media company. Vance expresses concern, stating, the problem is investigating a SPAC merger using a novel legacy theory against your boss, Joe Biden's chief political rival. He further emphasized the potential misuse of power, suggesting the SEC might be using its enforcement powers to silence the chief political rival of the current president. Preach. In closing with a stark warning, Vance remarked, it looks more and more like not an impartial regulatory body, but a regulatory body that is using its power to silence and immiserate political rivals of the current president of the United States, in a nation that values impartiality and justice. It is deeply concerning when regulatory bodies appear to stack the deck with individuals holding clear vendettas, such as this bald gentleman, Mr. Gensler. The deep state's tactics are not just evolving, they're becoming blatantly obvious. So kudos to him for sticking it to the current chairman of the SEC, in which we all despise. If you'd like to see Gary Gensler get fired, put hashtag GG or FGG, fire Gary Gensler, in the live chat. And also, if you want to do that for the repost, that's be fantastic as well. Repost this and put hashtag FGG, and I'll repost that here for you shortly. Now, check this out. Max shared this yesterday. My understanding is that Trump, when he wins, is announcing a plan to do a Saylor for the US Treasury at the Bitcoin conference. Now, y'all know Michael Saylor, publicly traded company, MicroStrategy, the first one to put the biddy on the balance sheet. Could this be a strategic move? You know Trump is speaking at the Nashville event in approximately 2 weeks. You know he'll be there. He'll be speaking about Bitcoin. You already know, 10 days before the assassination attempt, Trump came out ultimately endorsing Bitcoin, and they try to take his life. Also at this conference, you're going to have RFK Jr. You're going to have a lot of very powerful people speaking, including Kathy Wood, including Mr. Miller, a billionaire. You're going to have Michael Saylor there. So it's going to be pretty lit. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the high priest that this is Trump's strategy and plan. They want to be ultimately doing the Saylor and putting the Bitcoin in the US Treasury or on the balance sheet of the United States of America as the global hash war intensifies. Now check this out. This also just in. Senator Mike Crapo, Senator JD Vance writes a letter to Gary Gensler regarding MMTLP, ultimately calling him out. So again, much respect for him for doing something against Gensler. Now, Samson Mao just recently tweeted and got almost 42,000 views. Bitcoin is going to $1 million. I am not uncertain. I am also not uncertain that Bitcoin is going to $1 million. Let me know if you agree or disagree with Samson Mao. And as I shared earlier regarding the Mt. Gox rumors that there's going to be a massive sell-off, something to keep in mind. Only 20% of the distributed Mt. Gox Bitcoin will hit the market. About 80% will just move to cold storage or be borrowed against, because again, that's the smart money. Everyone who was having Bitcoin back at the Mt. Gox era when it became a defunct exchange in 2014, these are the early adopters. So these aren't just some, Joe Joe Schmoes out there. And I agree. I think 80% will hodl and do the right thing. But of course, a certain percentage is probably going to sell. There's always a percentage of sellers. However, keep in mind, 100% of the distributed Bitcoin Cash will hit the market. And because the Bitcoin Cash market cap is very insignificant in comparison to Bitcoin, do note it's going to get wrecked and it's going to be very dark for Bitcoin Cash holders. So do keep that in mind. But back to our story here regarding Vance. James David Vance is the full name. JD Vance, the new running mate of Donald Trump, once called SEC Chair Gensler the worst person to be regulating the crypto industry in a recently resurfaced video. And again, respect to him. The clip, which has been circulating on social media, shows Vance speaking at Remedy Fest, a private conference hosted by Y Combinator and Bloomberg, and that was back on February, or at the end of February 28th. If there is a candidate for the worst person in my view, at least in terms of my substantial disagreement, it is Gary Gensler. Let me know if you agree with that. I agree 100% because obviously they're using him to weaponize crypto, and I don't trust Miss Yellen. I don't trust Gary Gensler, Senator Warren, or Sleepy Joe Poop Your Pants. You know what I mean? All of them need to go. Kiyosaki refers to these folk as the Three Stooges, in this case, the Four Stooges. But anyways, he wants to inject politics way too much into the actual business of securities in the U.S., precisely what No Claire Gare does. The approach that Gary has taken to regulating blockchain and crypto is the exact opposite of what it should be. Preach. Now, I'm starting to like this guy a lot more every minute now. Vance has stood in solidarity with the crypto industry several times throughout his political career. On May 16th, Vance was among 60 senators who voted to reverse the SEC controversial SAB 121 accounting guidelines, a set of policy suggestions that prevent U.S. banks from custody of crypto assets. Then earlier in this year, February 7th, Vance led a handful of other Republican senators in penning a letter to Mr. Gensler raising concerns over the enforcement action against crypto mining firm Debtbox, where the judge found the SEC lawyers use false statements to justify freezing assets linked to the company. That's criminal. SEC and Gary, you're responsible here, bro. Now, quoting him here, it is unconscionable that any federal agency which has often pursued its regulatory mission through enforcement actions rather than rulemaking could operate in such an unethical and unprofessional manner, wrote Vance in the letter. And again, this is another letter directed towards the Honorable Gary Gensler. I think it's dishonorable referring to him as honorable, considering he's crooked, implicit, and let's not forget, he was the cop on the beat when it came to the FTX debacle. How many times did he meet behind closed doors with SBF? On record, at least 3 times. So that means probably 30, 40, 50, 60. But I digress. In February of 2022, Vance launched crypto as a solution to the government overreach when Canada's finance minister froze the bank accounts of the convoy of truckers protesting the COVID-19 lockdowns. This is why crypto is taken off. The regime will cut off your access to banking if you have the wrong politics. Preach! So much respect to JD Vance. Let me know your thoughts on him as a running mate to Trump. Now, before serving as the Republican senator in the state of Ohio, 39-year-old Vance served in the U.S. Marines, studied law at Yale, and later went on to work as a venture capitalist under PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel. And in a 2022 financial disclosure report for the U.S. Senate, Vance reported holding between $100,000 and $250,000 worth of the biddy. That's right, yo. And I want to read you this one more thing from Vance. This is a letter he wrote to Gary Gensler regarding MMTLP. Dear Chairman Gensler, we write today requesting that the U.S. SEC examine events surrounding the trading halt of Meta Materials Series A preferred shares and provide appropriate info to Senate offices engaged in the matter, as noted by our White House counterparts in a letter dated July 28, 2023. MMTLP shares began trading on the over-the-counter market in 2021. In 2022, the SEC approved the Form S-1 and amendments to spin off a portion of the company, Meta Materials, into the new company, NextBridge Hydrocarbons. On December 9, 2022, FINRA issued a trading halt on the company's stock, preventing shareholders from making further trades, and FINRA's FAQ FAQs regarding the MMTLP corporate action and trading halt. It is noted that the next bridge shares would be distributed to MMTLP shareholders with settled positions as of December 12, 2022, and FINRA halted trading on December 9th because security transactions typically must settle within 2 business days in accordance with SEC rules. Since December's events, investors across the country have struggled to gain clarity, Mr. No Claire Gare, regarding both the spinoff transactions and the halt on the trading. Therefore, we echo our House counterparts and request the SEC review these market events and any corporate filings made within the commission. It is equally important to our constituents that the SEC further scrutinize these matters to determine any wrongdoing occurred. We hope for a timely response to this matter and ask that the SEC provide detailed information and analysis. So there you have it, yo. What are your thoughts? Pro-crypto president, pro-crypto running mate. We got Vance. We got Trump. Will this send Bitcoin to $1 million, as Samson Mouse predicting? Let me know your thoughts. Personally, I think it's inevitable. Personally, I think if Trump gets reelected, there's a strong possibility we hit $1 million. And we could potentially do it during his term, because keeping in mind that halving is in 2028. He gets reelected, hypothetically speaking, end of this year. He's going to be our president, our POTUS, for the next 4 years. And we finally got a pro-crypto president. This is a big deal. You know what I mean? Look at Sleepy Joe. He despises Bitcoin. He despises crypto. That's why he uses regulators like Senator Warren and Gary Gensler and all these hucksters and fraudsters and flim-flam artists. And corruption occurs. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Enforcement by corruption. That's what we have right now. So what are your thoughts? Let me know, family. And I'm going to be reading all your comments out loud. Welcome to the Q&A segment.